Welcome back, guys. We are here at the LCK 2020 for Spring, and we just finished game number 1 of Hanwha Life up against Sandbox. Hanwha Life able to steal away the game with Tempt doing some incredible moves in the team fights and then forcing a backdoor play with his buddy Haru to set up the victory for his team even after they had given up the Mountain Soul. So not the most dominant victory for game number 1. I think the obvious player of the game will be Tempt here, even though he did go 2-4-6. It does not tell the whole story, as this is actually his first player of the game.
Yeah. The first POG for Tempt. There was the Shurima shuffle. That really, I mean, it saved everything. Right here as well. Another one. He finds his way in. As soon as the exhaust ends up fading, Root tries to get away from it, not quite able to in the end. And Haru and Tempt right there executing this backdoor with the Trundle Azir. And much like the Avengers, everyone sort of showed up right at the very end. 9 out of 9. This is a very unique day.
Yeah, every single player in the game vote has been 9 out of 9. Everybody is unanimous in who they know is the player of the game every single time so far. We'll have to see if we can keep that up, if we can keep the chemistry of the Riot broadcast all together on the same page as even the observers on the same page. No Jonas Strong MVP votes for random people today. Everybody just kind of understanding the way that these games are being won. Well,
we shall see what Game 2 has in store via the ban pick. Sandbox, also their mental state is going to be a pretty big question mark coming into this game. Are they just going to tilt off the face of the planet? Dove having a very bizarre performance on the Akali. I know that we said at the very end. What is the Gnar ban? Valdez, take it away.
I think it's a... I wish I could confidently give you a reason. There is no reason.
Okay.
Yep, that's the reason.
Great.
Maybe they say Gnar is good into set and we want to first pick set. That would be the only thing I can think of. But we all know that Gnar is not good into set. So I would imagine that's the reasoning behind it, but I just know that none of us here agree with it. As they're not going to ban set, they give QV this champion. I would assume this is the first pick. Yes, it is. And now it's really, the ball is in Sandbox's court because they should have seen this coming. So I want to see how they're going to respond to it.
Well, set is going to be first picked. What is, okay. We can't have nice things.
Should I take
here.
It away again?
Yeah, you should maybe take it away as Aatrox just gets locked in. There is something about Sandbox. I don't know what it is. They just have such an affinity for Aatrox, and Summit is probably the best Aatrox in LCK, but even still, there's so many answers and responses. I love Hanwha Life coming in here now with the Azir and the MF to stand its ground. So this is very heavily winning right now for Hanwha Life. Zoe is going to come in for Dove. And now we move into the second ban phase here. So let's take a look at what is going to end up happening. Obviously, support's probably on the chopping block, or maybe jungles. But Yuumi does bite the dust. We did see Misfortune Yuumi earlier on tonight.
That we did, and it is a question. I'm not a... I understand the Yuumi ban, but I'm not a huge fan of banning supports. I feel like there are just so many options, but it seems like they're going to go against that. They're going to take away Morgana, who we haven't seen in a bit here. And yeah, just get taken off the table. Wouldn't mind another 80 carry ban here. There's really not much. I mean, so many have already been taken off the table 3 AD carry bans on Sandbox's side, 2 already by Hanwha Life, 1 picked. But instead they're going to go ahead and ban away the Thresh for taking away some of that bottom lane power.
Well, let's see what Sandbox are going to elect to take as the AD carry. So many of them are removed off the table. Will Sandbox go with some sort of a hyper? First, they're going to pick the Rakan. And if they go Xayah Rakan, it's so out of theme here. Because Xayah doesn't have anything key that she would be avoiding. But that would be the only possible thought in my mind. As Hanwha Life now, all they need is more champions to protect the Azir and the Misfortune, synergy with the set, and things would be just fine. So, Jarvan, bit of an interesting pick. He does come in, able to lock up some of the members on Sandbox, but not all of them. And Taric, really good champion pick. If
This draft looks so nice by Hanwha.
Yeah, if they end up locking it in, it will be a bit scary. And it feels like there's not an easy answer for what 80... Okay, well...
Yeah, I think we saw that one coming.
we can't have nice things. So I thought the Rakan was there to potentially go into a different kind of AD carry. If you're wondering, well, what ADs can actually do anything meaningful in a spot like this? And it feels like you're really only looking at Tristana. Jinx, there's too many problems for her to actually remain safe relative to having the Aatrox and the Trundle on the team. Vayne can't obviously come in a spot like this. Kog'Maw and Twitch don't have enough protection or anything going on with them. So there's very limited AD carries that are going to be viable. Obviously, maybe Corki in bottom lane is actually something that could be considered. But I feel like mostly you're only looking at those two, the Tristana and the Corki. I don't think that you want to go Super Sin and pick something like Lucian with the Rakan. I think that would be a very bad decision. And here it is, Hanwha Life once again with a massive... This is bigger than Game 1. It is so much bigger than Game number 1. And all the pressure is on Dove, on the Zoe now in this game. And that can't be feeling too comfortable, especially not after that Game 1 performance.
Yeah, no way. I mean, to expect him to come in here and try to be the main carry is foolish, I believe. If anything, I would try to put my cards on, or my money on the Aatrox onto Summit and see if maybe just through his individual skill alone, somehow he can overcome draft loss and disadvantages in lanes and all this other stuff, and hope that they are just the overall better team than Hanwha Life. But they've already shown that that is not exactly the case. They're very close in terms of team record. And after that draft, I think you have to look at Hanwha Life being the big favorites coming into Game 2. And yeah, I mean, do see them spreading out here, just doing a little bit of bird noises is always fun. Having some fun with Zoe here in the mid lane. We look at some of the runes here. There's only one Sinner. It's Zoe.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I mean...
So, the funniest thing about this team composition, right, is that they want to go late game. And, well, no matter what, they're sort of forced to go late game because there's no way that any of these lane matchups can actually win hard enough early for it to be meaningful. Also, unflinching on the set is a very peculiar rune choice. Not something I was expecting to see by any means. Zoe with the Dematerializer as well. And not feeling so good. So, missing out on the Gathering Storm is Dove. As Tempt just actually let a minion die right in front of him. I thought that was...
Yeah, he attacked with the soldier for the ranged minion instead of getting the melee minion. That gives 7 extra gold. Well, scratching my head on that one.
Tempt is now positive win rate after that last game on Azir. So he has that going for him. Trundle doing red buff into blue buff. We see this all the time in the LCK. These very bizarre opening jungle routes relative to the lanes. There's nothing that Trundle can achieve early, and so we shouldn't be in a rush to actually do anything. So having the smite available, it's bizarre why he wastes the buff duration by immediately doing the blue. Jarvan's obviously not going to do anything. Super cheesy. Jarvan likewise. Red, blue, Gromp, Wolves. And then at that point, he can either start pathing back into his red side jungle, look to do something bot lane, make his way up towards Shuttlecraft, but Punch gonna go for an invade here, utilizing the priority in mid dub. Did roll in Ignite in the first 200 seconds of the game. Yep.
He's really good at Zoe. I gotta learn from this guy. They're trying to set up a gank here on the top lane. We saw this earlier with Ornn and Jarvan. How about Set and Jarvan? Can you set it up? As the flash is not going to be used here until later. Cuvee tanking up so many turret shots is barely going to survive here. As, by the way, Redemption also picked up by the Zoe here to help out, and the dive is not successful.
Dive ended up failing, and really, Aatrox should always be dead there. Hanwha Life mis-executing on the mechanics in order to get the kill would have been a really big victory. Punch now over here on the left-hand side, taking a pretty big bite out of the Jarvan. And you can see Punch is just waiting to see if Jarvan tries to come back in. He moves over to the left-hand side so that he gets the clear timer on the Wolf camp. And now, after the recall, both top laners still even on both items and gold. Cuvee obviously does still retain his flash. Take a look at this. Facebreaker comes out. W cast a little bit late by Cuvee. And Summit
moved out of the Redemption,
by
the way. Wanted to make sure he was going to get the camel. Pretty smart. You would assume that, you know, maybe you just want to sit in there, pick up the healing. But was not the case for Summit. And yeah, he saw it coming. He was like, yeah, I think they're going to go for a top dive. And it was not successful. Knock up here not working, as Trundle going to be spotted by Haru, as now they're trying to turn this into a aggressive 3v3. Doesn't quite work out, but they take a good trade here up against Root. Speaking of trades, Summit gonna dash out of the way of that one.
Well, so far everything is going pretty even, which does mean this is beneficial for Hanwha Life. Haru down here in bot lane, and he's here because Vista has no mana. Summit taking a really big face breaker in with our haymaker to the face, which broke his.
Yeah,
that was a run-on. Thank you, fellas.
Lahen's in a bit of trouble here. He did not want to flash. I think if you're gonna flash, just flash early. You got to get on the other side of that pillar. As now Delve is gonna make his way down here. Not gonna force too much. A little bit late to the party, as Lahen's just waited a little bit too long. And this is something I was talking about. Gorilla did well earlier on at a dragon fight. Just flash. If you're out of position, you just got to get out of there and make sure you don't die and you don't give free kills over to the enemy team.
And at this point, Hanwha Life, I mean, take a look at what's happening. They knew Punch was here. They had total intel. And so it's so perplexing to me how everything just ends up transpiring, because it never should have worked in a million years. Punch probably doesn't even realize at the end of all of that that he was on top of Ward. I don't know what Jarvan's doing. What?
Now Cuvee is here and is going to force the fight under the turret. That's a turret shot. Summit is going to die. A straight up solo kill. And Haru, the absolute 200 IQ player, says, you don't need me. You got this alone.
And Cuvee managing to get a solo kill without even utilizing his flash, superplex into the turret, is a really big victory for Cuvee up in top lane. As, alright, well, Sandbox, they do pick themselves up the Infernal Dragon. We do have another spicy Drake on our hands, Valdez.
You do.
난 집이야.
Still has the W available. And it sounds like he actually, yeah, he very relieved.
Yeah, he's like, oh, nice. Oh, thank God. Thank God it was a nice. Oh, man. And we were talking about how, you know, Dove has to be the carry. Summit, he's got to carry with individual skill. That's, it's not a good look when one of these pillars is already falling in the direction of Hanwha Life after they won the draft so heavily.
Yeah, definitely not. As I mean, the good news though is that Cube has the one kill. He has the Ninja Tabi as the first item on the set, so very valuable against the Trundle and the Aatrox. Azir doesn't quite have his lost chapter yet against the Zoe. Bot lane, however, Vista and Lehens struggling a little bit. Summit taking a really rough trade. I don't know.
You were talking about tilt. I don't think it's tilt. I think he's just trying too hard, at least for the first kill. And that second kill might have been tilt. Or not kill, second bad trade there might have been just a bit of tilt because, I mean, Cuve's just making him look silly here in the lane.
And Punch now just finishing his red buff. Doesn't actually ding 6 off of it, so still won't have that subjugate available. Set in close proximity to the Herald, helping Haru try to do it. Dove coming over, Summit with a flank. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay, trying to set up this knockup as Cube is just going straight head first in as they were going 2v5 for so long on this one. Tempt was so late to the fight as he took the extreme backdoor approach to getting into this one, and now it is going all the direction of, well, actually it's Cube. It's all the direction of Cube. I am able to edit that comment before it comes out. He's able to trade a kill back onto Summit as Cube on his very comfortable set is making it look good.
And so he manages to salvage that situation right there. Punch, I don't think knows that okay, well he doesn't know that Cube knows that he was still around. He's gonna end up haymakering this minion wave, getting a turret plate as well. Take a look at how this all transpires. So Summit goes in, gets the combo, face breaker ends up happening. And immediately, I just thought Cube, okay, he's gonna superplex here onto the Aatrox. Tempt will play it slow from the back line, and then Cube can re-enter the fight, and they can try to take it from there and kill the Trundle. But he holds on to his suplex, ends up having to suplex the Zoe, gets another haymaker off. Dove able to retain the flash active on the W. And at the end of this all, Haru has the Rift Herald picked up. Hanwha Life are finding some victories, at least in the top lane, not the lane that anyone would probably expect it. Now, the fortunate thing is that Summit, once upon a time, used to be called the scariest 0-4-0 player in the LCK. Even if he does fall behind, it doesn't necessarily change how he's going to conduct himself inside of a team fight. It's mostly just, is he tilted or not?
Yeah. And it is a big question because I feel like we've seen a bit of the answer and it hasn't looked too good. They need Summit to have the mental fortitude to be able to do what he used to be able to do and keep a good mindset throughout the fight and throughout the game. But right now, he is pretty desperately behind. We did have a bit of lane shenanigans here as all the turrets are still left available, so we're still kind of in this awkward laning phase. And we saw that Vis and Lehens were top. They rotated up there for the Rift Herald, and now they're back bot, even though Summit did go down there, so now Summit's moving up. And with the Cloud Drake coming up here, you can see Sandbox are going to heavily prioritize it here. We'll see how Hanwha Life do want to respond. Looks like they are grouping up for now, although the mid lane is pushed in, and Tempt is a bit out of position for that. Teleport available here is going to be used finally.
It's not worth losing the game over a Cloud Dragon, Valdez. I will I did actually just recheck my notes here. Yeah, that is not something that you want to do. Okay,
Well,
Cube.
Oh, Cube is just going to be bopped down just like that. And the Taric ultimate comes in as, yeah, Emperor's Divide to get away from this one. Summit in the front line with full health, just going to dominate them. A real mess of a team fight coming in there from Hanwha Life as all the flashes are going to be picked up. And they take down 3 as the caster curse comes to life before our eyes. It's not worth losing the game over a Cloud Drake. Hanwha Life throw the fight. They throw the Cloud Drake over to Sandbox, who are now in a pretty nice spot.
Sandbox are in such a commanding position now as, well, they're going to pick up a couple more turret plates as they use the Rakanzaya recall at the very bottom. And Cube, you just wonder what he's doing leading up to this moment, and nothing really makes that much sense. And Temp even gets put to sleep. He has a late Emperor's Divide. Cataclysm comes out, but there's just nothing going on for Hanwha Life in this team fight because it was effectively a 5 versus 4 that even started off with an extra handicap in the sense that Azir was asleep.
Yeah. Was asleep in that one, and now it's kind of awkward. You know, they have this draft that looked really nice on paper. They have ultimate wombo combo potential, and we saw what Tempt is able to do on this Azir, but now that you feed a Zoe 3 kills, just like that, 3-0-1, you got Xayah, who's doing pretty well in the bottom side, 1-0-3. Your 2 carries pick up all the, all the gold. And just like that, I mean, draft can only have so much of an effect if the game is going to be played out in this manner. As, speaking of which, Cube going for another trade here, never afraid, it seems. But he's got to worry about this pillar that should be coming in, as he's just going to try to turn around as, oh boy. I think he tried to get behind him, but failed, and is now 1v2, and is looking death in the face, as Summit is going to take him out.
Yeah, that that happened. That was indeed a series of events that did just end up conducting themselves.
Unfortunately, yes.
Sandbox now up here, pushing in the top wave. Things are looking really grim for Hanwha Life here in game number 2. And they are back to happily losing everything. So even with the 2 kills that Cube got early on up in top lane, wasn't able to do anything with them. Summit is now ahead of him at the end of it. And also, those kills occurred at really nice timing. Summit also lost a lot of XP, lost a lot of minions, and didn't even require Cube to really use anything. He was able to retain his flash for the first one. Take a look at this. Cube clearing out the control ward, and then continuing to handshake a fight with Summit, runs over onto the left-hand side, has flash available, and I don't know. I actually just have no idea.
Flash away, please. Just accept that you put yourself in a bad spot and own it and flash away. Instead, he, I don't know what he was trying to do, trying to set up a kill or something? I don't know in what universe he thought he was actually going to kill the Aatrox.
Well, absolutely perplexing was this series of events, as Sandbox are just in such a commanding position right now. I have no clue what is going to happen, though, in this game. We saw Hanwha Life manage to steal a victory back and Tempt once again find miracle engages to try to bring this back. Sandbox are going to be looking at an Ocean Soul here in this game, and it's coming up in less than a minute. We could have a 24-minute Ocean Soul capture for Sandbox. Summit trying to just defend the bottom turret, and this is another thing that all of these lanes didn't get a lot of chip damage onto the turrets early on. Summit was barely able to escape from that. And Dove is just doing pretty fine here in mid lane.
Yeah, he's having a fun time. No doubt about that. As he's, you know, we have entered a bit of a lull state as it seems like Hanwha Life are staring their unfortunate reality in the face right now. Feels a little bit like they're stunned after the way it went. Kive just deciding he didn't want those range minions. Just, you know, just let him go. And is going to run over towards the Ocean Drake. He's got to save some time. Make sure he is here in position, even though he does have the TP. Wants to save that for later, as now with the Ocean Drake alive and available, looks like Sandbox are trying to set up for this one, but with a fed Zoe, and you're going against vision here, it's pretty rough to predict which angle she's going to come from and how exactly to approach this Drake. But they are going to try. Kive spotted with the ward now. We'll see where he wants to come from. He's going to join his team once again. The knockup by Gorilla not going to work out, and here we go. Getting into the backline, trying to force the Featherstorm, and there it is. As now Summit getting into the backline himself. The Ocean Drake will go the way of Sandbox as Kive all alone in the backside is just going to go down. Summit still somehow alive here as, he's just out of range for Tempt. And he actually was able to bait this as now Dove might go down, but no, is able to flash away with his W. As a very all-over-the-place team fight is once again going to go the way of Sandbox as a double kill, and the Ocean Drake here go to Xayah as they will continue pushing in the middle.
Okay, so this game is so lopsided. It makes no sense whatsoever what is happening here. This, I mean, if the Akali performance last game by Dove earned the mantle of one of the most one of the biggest letdowns, I think that the follow-up to this early game set is definitely trying to take the cake and eat it too. As Kive, he can't make up his mind in this team fight for what he wants to do. Base breaker into a haymaker, delayed ultimate. He doesn't know what to really allocate his time towards in this team fight. As Summit drawing so much aggro in the backline, managing to escape by the skin of his teeth, as Dove also managing to live at the very end. And you have to look at this and probably just think that was the decisive team fight, the one that broke the camel's back, as Sandbox, they're definitely poised to just easily get the next Ocean Dragon and thus the Soul and win the game from there. And this is 2 games in a row now where Hanwha Life, with better team compositions, this time much better around than in game 1, are happily losing everything.
Happily losing everything returns to the Rift somehow, some way. And as you mentioned, it does feel like they've somehow, as a team, they just have not been clean. They've been kind of all over the place, and they've put themselves behind yet again. As we are going to see another trade here now. Summit is confidently taking these trades. Not scared of Kive, who, by the way, does have, you know, the Blade of the Rune King, so we'll be able to sustain up at least from these trades. But we do have Rakan coming down here. This trade is going to be taken by Summit, easily able to sidestep that haymaker as well. With the Rakan coming up here, not even sure that they needed the Rakan, but does help out in taking out Kive. Hanwha Life say, well, let's try to get something else on the map, but they're going up against Dove, who is quite fed. Looks to back away as they're not exactly sure who will be coming to the top side, but yet another kill going to go the way of Summit, who is absolutely terrifying now on the Aatrox.
This is definitely a bit worrying. If you are a Hanwha Life fan, currently Sandbox are just taking them to town here. Outside of those 2 kills that Kive got early on, one of them which was a solo kill, and then the follow-up inside the blue side jungle, things are definitely looking a bit scary. So take a look at this trade. Summit is up a base level here, and Kive whiffs the haymaker, just dodge it 5-head. That is, I do believe that is our Korean advice.
Yeah.
Did manage to make use of the rage passive and the movement speed to dodge that ability. Kive just getting put 6 feet under.
Yeah, and I'm really not sure how it got to this point. You know, he was looking so clean. Maybe he just got a little bit overconfident, and a couple of wonky team fights later, he finds himself too far behind to do anything about it. As we do see, again, we're sitting here waiting for the Ocean Drake that is about to spawn, and you talked about that last team fight being the decider in terms of who is going to win, but I think this one is going to be a bit more obvious as long as Hanwha don't get some kind of insanely miraculous engage out of Tempt.
At this point, Sandbox just posturing around, waiting for their Ocean Dragon to end up spawning. And I think the only way that Hanwha Life can possibly win here is an ace at this team fight into Ocean Capture, into Baron.
Well, the Jarvan's just going to die as the ultimate is not going to get there on time, and Rakan gets into the backline. Tempt is trying to get in there with this shield, is barely staying alive, but Punch is going to punch him in the back there and to finish him off. Lahen's the only one left alive. He is looking absolutely outrageous, at least, but he is going to die at the end of it all. 15-3 is going to be the kill score in favor of Sandbox, as they are absolutely pummeling Hanwha in this game too.
So they turn their attention immediately over to the Baron. Whenever I see this, it does make me a little nervous, because oftentimes you'll see they don't understand that with the Ocean Soul, they can start the Baron, demand the opponents come to them, and win the preceding team fight. Right now, by doing the Baron first, they give the opportunity for Hanwha Life to respawn and try to blitz the Ocean to stop the Ocean Soul from coming up. So as we get back into live, probably teleport, there it is, from Cube. They're going to burst down the Ocean Soul. Aatrox is here to try to kill the Jarvan, but in the end, they will... Yeah, they will get it. And it's always just such a blunder. See this a lot now in competitive, not just in LCK, LEC, LCS as well. Baron is the third best neutral objective in the game. Most obviously being Elder, and then second is always going to be the Soul. So it's always bizarre to see the hierarchy seems to put Baron all too often at the top or just below Elder, when it's just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, getting the Ocean Soul means you 100% win the game. A Baron push can be held off, and then eventually, you know, you can deal with the next Ocean Drake with steals. You can pick someone off. It just allows potential for more mistakes. Whereas if you have Ocean Soul, I mean, you're probably not going to die, especially because it's Ocean Soul. You were saying Souls in general, but Ocean Soul is just so unbelievably strong that, especially in this case, I absolutely do agree that they should have gone for that objective. But it feels like it's not gonna matter here, other than, you know, showing us that Sandbox, you know, they don't seem to agree with that fact, but they should still win the game from here, even without the Ocean Soul, as they're, you know, massively far ahead in this one.
They're up 10,000 gold at 25 minutes. They're trying to shove in here with the Baron buff. They're going to have two cannons down in bot lane, bolstered by it, by Summit. And it does look like the cannons and the minions themselves will actually raise the inhibitor. As Summit is pushing on, he already has a really good flank angle.
Okay, just trying to go for one last desperate engage. They are going to get on top of Root, but he's got the best item in the game, Mr. Stopwatch, and he also is Xayah, so easily able to disengage. After that, everybody's being picked off on the side of Hanwha Life. Down will go Summit, but they have a massive wave down here in the bottom side, and they're going to use that to push on and take the victory. Not a very close game number 2. We were actually hyping up Hanwha Life and saying that they should be able to win this one, as they're actually not going to finish the game. I suppose the Sun Turret helping in their decision to back away.
Well, I'm really not sure how they don't end here. We take a look at the team fight, and there's really not all that much else to say. Summit is just such a monster in the backline. demanding so much attention, living so long before it ended up being taken down. 4 members still standing. For Sandbox, they end up raising the turrets. And now Hanwha Life have one last chance, one opportunity. As 2-6-1 is the set, so straight out of solo queue here. 27.5 minutes.
To 2 and 6. It's definitely an unfortunate scoreline for our friend in the top lane here. We're going to give blue buff over to Vista, saying, please carry us. You are the only person that has a positive scoreline on our team somehow when it's 4-17. And Sandbox say, we don't really need Baron. We're just going to push in because we're so far ahead. And yeah, I mean, the play to back away there, I mean, they had so many minions and they still had Baron buff, I think. Not 100% sure on that, but I think with 4 members, they could have easily just hit the Nexus. But they just wanted to play it extremely safe. And when you're this far ahead, I suppose, you know, it looks a little bit silly, but you just want to be safe at the end of the day, as trying to siege this turret with the Zoe when you're ahead, generally pretty fun, as all your lanes are pushing in Hanwha Life.
And 40 seconds until the Ocean Soul, as the super minions have made their way to the Nexus like a colony of ants arriving at food. And Sandbox coming into the base to join them. As this could just be the final Doom push. Super minions down in bottom will act as buffer, although there's not a whole bunch of skill shots going on here.
Try for it once again, but Gorilla is going to get in the back line. Great engage, and the Emperor's Divide not able to do anything when you're this far behind. You don't even have turrets to help you out, as this will be the clean ace going the way of Sandbox, as they will force a game number 3 up against Hanwha Life here, showing them who is boss in this series, saying, yeah, you know, the draft absolutely in Hanwha Life's favor, but they did not play well at all.
No,
in
this
game
is
number 2.
I mean, it's basically an unofficial 2-0 for Sandbox. If you count the way that Hanwha Life played game number 1 and then lost and then won by killing the Nexus via the desperation backdoor when Sandbox had the Mountain Soul. I have no idea what they could be thinking going into game number 3, because they're just getting outclassed. What kind of a draft can you possibly hope to achieve? Doesn't look like they're going to beat Sandbox on a mechanical footing. When you have 2 kills on set, an XP lead as well, and some turret plates over the Aatrox, and then Summit still outplays you throughout the remaining course of the game, I don't know what more of a setup QV could possibly want or ever hope to achieve. So it's probably it's probably time to go back to trying to neutralize Summit in top lane rather than just fighting him straight up. But what kind of mid or bot lane matchups can Hanwha Life turn to? Maybe they'll actually utilize subs coming into this game and perhaps try to mix it up that way.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. It's hard, though, to say what you do here, because QV had moments in the game where he looked great, and he had great poise, and then he had moments where it was just like, wait, why are you there? Why are you dying? You know, what exactly is going on? So, do you sub him out in a position like that? Because there were some moments in the game where he looked okay. Or do you take someone else out of the lineup and try to, you know, get them to carry the new player that comes in? I'm not sure. I think if I were the coach of Hanwha, I'd probably keep things the same and sit QV down, try to, you know, calm him down, because obviously this is not an easy game to lose, especially for him when it was going so well and then just so poorly afterwards.
And right here, I imagine there's someone trying to do mental gymnastics to say that QV wanted to suplex them into the river and then flash over the wall to get towards the tri-brush. Okay, so we've concluded that QV wants to flash, so he could just flash away and save all of the show.
Yeah. Or you know, thinking that, oh, he just wants to suplex him into the turret, of course, like he's gonna get the kill. It's 1v2. make the safe play. It's never a good idea to go for that in that situation. So it does end up being a bit of a loss here for Hanwha Life. It's going to be a struggle for sure from a mental standpoint, as you were talking about. What do you even say after a position like this? As it will not be easy, but they will have to make it in here. Sandbox, you can see the clean victory here at the end. They take down the Nexus as Summit crushed in the top lane, even after he did not have a great start.
And he did a fantastic performance. I gave him the MVP, and you asked me, what do I say? And you know what, Valdez? Do you know what I say? I say no. I will not come home.
What's
all right? You'll get that eventually. You'll get it.
Okay. Well, hopefully I get it by the time we have this break. We are going to come back, guys, for game number 3 after 5 minutes.